So I've got a piece of hornstone here. I knocked a piece of this the other day. This is kind of a blocky, gnarly piece. This would be a good piece to see what we can do out of it. It's probably all about half Cortex. So this stuff has some pretty thick Cortex on it, at least these pieces do. So I think this is just whole rock. It's good stuff. Obviously it's raw, I think. I don't think you can cook it. I don't know, I couldn't say that. I'm not 100% certain, but I think I read somewhere that you can't cook it. See how much Cortex it has? So, first step will be getting the majority of that off. And I doubt I'll get anything any extra flakes off of this. But we'll see. Like anything I can make an arrowhead out of, this is small stuff, so. And I'm gonna waste a lot of it, which is pretty typical for me. Pretty typical for me. Unfortunately, that would be a great platform, but it's... well, I'll make it work. I really like this stuff, though. I knapped one piece of it, like I said, and it was really, really hard. Like, not hard to knap, like the stone itself was really, really hard. This seems softer than the piece I knapped the other day. Such good stuff, though. I'll try to make as big of a piece as I can out of this. There we go. Kept missing. Okay. We're getting it down to something we can kind of work with. I don't know if I should hit that. I would like to because it's kind of facing the right direction, but if I do, it'll probably stab. So, like I said, once we get it down to a somewhat usable piece, we're not going to end up with a very big piece out of this, though, unfortunately. But it's just the way the flint knapping goes sometimes. This piece is seems to be working a little bit better than the piece that worked the other day. Time to switch over to the smaller. I did, because it's so tough though, I did manage to make a pretty thin piece out of it, the piece I had the other day. I really want to move that platform I just set up there to the other side, but I wanted to get that, as much of that crap off of there as possible. Like, and by that I mean those step fractures and stuff I put in there. If y'all can believe that I would do something like that. I mean, we're pretty early in to be chasing step fractures out of stuff. We'll have to set up some specific platforms here to tackle this. Of course, I've made a mess and left the back thick, so we're gonna have to do something about that, which I hate. I do it every time though. I haven't quite figured out how to get the back thin without taking some strikes on the end. I know people do it, I just find it harder to do than it seems like it should be. Alright, that's about as far as I want to go with the direct percussion. so we'll braid and we'll have to get that end off where all the cortex is down there. I just kind of left it because it wasn't in the way, and I knew it was gonna have to come off eventually, but I wasn't quite ready for it to come off. That's kind of how I nap sometimes. I just kind of do what I can do. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. If y'all are using the Indirect, something I'm kind of finding out is the later in the process you can wait to start using it, the better it works. So, like, it seems like as you use the Indirect, it makes things very flat, like the cross section of the point, if you know what I'm talking about. It makes things really flat, and the flakes don't want to run when things are flat. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm saying. Like, the cross section isn't right, and if you'll take it down pretty far with the direct percussion and then run some thinning flakes across it with the indirect percussion, it seems to help with the step fractures, which if you use a lot of indirect, you probably know what I'm talking about. It can be really easy with indirect to introduce step fractures and stuff, at least for me. And I don't know if it's because of platform preparation, not having a steep enough platform, or if it's due to that cross section not being right, like I'm talking about. But since I've started doing a little bit more direct percussion work, it does seem to have gotten better. I don't know about better, but maybe just easier. Doesn't seem like it's as picky. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Although, like I've said in some of my other videos, there's certain rocks that do not like indirect percussion. Well, I've got good news for you. Hornstone, it likes it. You can get some papery thin stuff with this. So, it's nice and hard. And I don't mean that it's hard to nap. I mean that it's like actually a hard stone. So not all napping rocks are the same hardness. Things like obsidian aren't that hard. Right in there with glass and stuff. They're, I don't know, I think they're like a 5 or a 6. This is probably like a 7, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. That's on the Mohs hardness scale, I think is what it's called. Y'all don't quote me on nothing I say, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Mohs hardness scale. I'm leaving that white spot in the tip. It doesn't hurt anything, and it makes it look cool. So, yeah, I'm leaving it. It napped, so it's, I mean, it's Cortex, but if you can nap across it, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm also probably fixing to switch over to the pressure taker because this thing is quickly approaching too thin. Too thin. Matter of fact, I'm going to. That right there, guys, I don't know if y'all can tell on the camera. The thing is, I don't know. It's not picking it up very well. Papery thin. Pressure flake it. Then we'll probably have to take a few more passes with the indirect, if I'm being honest. But we've gotten that edge so thin that I'm gonna have to use pressure to straighten it out some to be able to set up some platforms on it. It's a good problem to have. Did I say this pressure flake's good? This stuff pressure flake's really good too. I think it's just an all around good rock. I haven't, like I said, I haven't worked a bunch of it. I've worked one other piece besides this. Similar to Georgetown, if I had to say something that was similar to. But I'm sure there's varying grades of it too. Everything I got seems to be a pretty darn high grade. Alright, I'm going to just maybe do one more pass around it. Like I said, I'm leaving that white Cortex tip on there. It's not really Cortex, it's almost like a, the way it naps, it acts like a division in the stone. Like there is some color variation in this stuff. I'm just gonna leave it though. It's not hurting anything. I want to clean up a couple spots, mainly down here around the tip, which is the worst spots to have to clean up, but I want it a little thinner there, and the only way to do that really for me is I could try to pressure flake it off, but I don't think it's gonna do it, so we'll do it with the indirect, and we'll use the smaller indirect stick and hope everything works out. Be very gentle with what we're doing here. Couple back here at the base. We're just taking little short, well, they're not really short. That's why I'm not doing pressure, because pressure will be, my pressure flakes are pretty short. I'm not a great pressure flaker. We're taking little narrow light flakes off, and we're not trying to run all the way across center. We're more or less trying to thin the edge out a little bit, bring out some of that lumpiness is what we're getting out of it. Try to bring that edge a little closer to center line so it just is more pleasing. Doesn't hurt anything for it to be wonky. It's just more proper for it not to be. Yeah, that's not terrible. I'm gonna do a couple on this side too. And I'm basically using this abrader to set up a continuous platform down the side, and then I'll just come back and take the low spots that are below center line out. That's how I like to do it. Gotta set up a couple platforms right here and do something a little different. It's not bad. I could totally leave it, but I'm not going to. That was a good flake. I hit that really hard trying to clean up some steppy areas, and it took a pretty good flake out of there. Unfortunately, in my nitpickiness, I have introduced a couple step fractures I'm going to try to get out. Pretty typical. I do that a lot, but I'm trying to push a little bit more towards the really not perfection necessarily side of things, but a little bit cleaner than what I normally turn out. I will say that, for me at least, the Hornstone is a touch steppy. If you don't have your platforms perfect, it wants to stop. It does not want to continue on, which is due to probably one of its better qualities, which is its durability. It's difficult to, doesn't want to break. I promise I'll stop in just a minute after I whittle this down to just about nothing, chasing stuff, just because I can. But see, I wouldn't have got that nice flake across there if I had stopped. Alright, that's good. I've got it pretty well cleaned up now. Now that I've got it about twice as narrow as it was when we started on it, but that's okay. I didn't say I was going to make full use of that rock. I told you I was gonna waste a lot of it. I did say that. You might not have been paying attention, but I said it. I've said it before though. If y'all are coming here for perfection, you've come to the wrong place. I'm just pressure flaking it into shape. It was a little rough after that last little bout of indirect we did on it, but I got some stuff out that I wanted to get out, and that's mainly what I was concerned with. It didn't need to be any thinner, but I mean, it's a nice byproduct, but it cost us a lot of width, which, whatever. I do care, but I don't care at the same time. If I can save it and keep my width and make everything perfect, I'm cool with it, but I'm more concerned at this point with my knapping to have a good end product and not really care. I don't even want to say waste, but not care too much about how much stone it took me to get there. Because it is something to be concerned about. You want to maximize the amount of stone. You know, stone is a limited resource. It's not like you've got, some people might, I don't. It's not like you've got 10,000 pounds of it out back and you can just go grab another chunk. It costs money, and you know, it's limited. Don't want to be wasteful with it. But to be honest with y'all, I'm not really skilled enough to do that yet. There's people that would have made a blade exactly the width of that rock that I just turned into this little itty bitty point, which is fine. I wish I was there. And I mean, I had a nice blade out of it, but it wasn't thin yet. I'm talking about they would have a nice blade that was thin. This is thin, but it's tiny. Which is okay. Now, what should we make out of it? It's a good question. I shouldn't have left that white tip on there. It kind of looks crappy, but it actually doesn't look too bad now. Got it cleaned up a little. What should we make out of it? I've made a bunch of lost lakes and corner notches and stuff lately and put them on the channel. I probably should do something a little different. I've done a lot of Daltons. I have a Dalton video right now on the camera that I haven't done anything with because I feel like I've made too many Dalton videos. It's a pretty good one. I made like a 6.5 inch, almost 7 inch Dalton out of a piece of Flint River, but the video is pretty good, but the point's kind of meh. And it's a Dalton, and like I said, I've made a bunch of those lately. And I'm not a great Dalton maker. I think everybody likes to see variety. They'd also like me to keep my hands in the frame where they can see the flint napping that they came here to see. I hope I didn't do a bunch of that off camera. I'm so bad about that, guys. I am so sorry. What do you think? Think it looks pretty good? Somebody got really mad at me in the comment section about it. And I'm like, sorry. I don't know if they got mad at me or if they were being funny. I don't know. I just apologized to them and told them there was other videos. I'm not 100% perfect every time, but if I go through the trouble of making a video and I accidentally nap off camera, I'm not going to delete the video. It's just because I did that. Are we thin enough to suit you guys? I can't even tell because the dang camera won't focus. I mean, that's not bad, right? I mean, this pressure flaker is an 1/8 inch, so let's put that up there for reference. I'd say that's pretty good. For me, that's pretty good. Okay. I'll cut back in a minute. I'm gonna find a point style. Preferably maybe a Kentucky point style. I've got to clean out the finished blanks and preforms out of my arrowhead book here. I've been practicing a certain point style. Not really a point style. I've been practicing this, which is just a little paper thin Cahokia preform a friend gave to me. This is what his arrowheads look like, and he was like, here, copy this. He notches them. So I've been making a bunch. I figured we'd go over them on video, so there's you a little teaser of that since I had to move them anyway. So I'll find that and I'll get back with y'all. I found it real quick. I just saw, what's his name? Danny Collins make one of these. It's called a Buck Creek point. This is perfect little preform to make that out of. So let's attempt to make a Buck Creek point. Never tried it. Don't know nothing about it. Don't know where it comes from. Don't know if I can do it, but we're gonna try. I think he made his out of hornstone too, so I'm not trying to copy him. I kind of had that in mind, and then I flipped the book open and saw it, and I was like, yep, that's what we're gonna do. And they're from Kentucky. Probably some of them were made out of hornstone. So we're off to a good start there. Better than normal. Better than normal. These wider notches are a lot easier to make than the normal notches I make with the real tight corner notches and everything. That's pretty good for that side. We'll do this side now. Hopefully I can make it match. We'll clean it up. I'll come back. We'll revisit. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. I'm lying. I don't know what I'm doing. Also, it's a lot easier to nap a notch into something when it isn't a 1/4 inch thick. Oh, story of my life. I'm sure y'all have done the same thing. If you haven't, you're lying. We all do. We all have. Even when I make big blades, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to notch that. You know, because the bigger the point or the blade, the usually the thicker it is, unless you're just a master napper, which honestly most of us probably aren't. If you're watching people nap on YouTube, the chances that you're good enough to make a blade that's an 1/8 inch thick and 6 inches wide and 8 inches long are probably pretty slim. You might be, and if you are, I apologize, and I appreciate your support. But I think most of us are probably around the same skill level I'm at, or something close to it. I like this point style. May add it to my collection of go-tos. And by that, that's just things I can nap. There's certain point styles I don't like to try. Unless it's just one of those days where I'm really feeling like trying something. One of those is, well, there's a bunch. But it's like, I can make a Clovis, right? Do I make very many Clovises? No, I do not. Do you know why I don't make very many Clovises? Because I'm not good at it yet. Yet. Emphasis on the yet. See, if you say you're not good at it, so you're not going to do it, that doesn't get you anywhere. But if you say you're not good at it yet, so you don't do it that much, well, that's okay. There's a difference there. Because yet implies that you're going to get better. Just like I'm going to get better at my notching and quit stalling them out on camera for you guys. Eventually. I'm in a good mood today. I had a long weekend, got lots of sleep. You know how that goes. Usually puts you in a better mood. Not that I'm ever really in a bad mood. I just feel more talkative when I've gotten a lot of rest. I think I'm pushing this a little too far. All right. You know what? I probably overdid it. Those ears are just a touch too long. Let's see what I can find in the book here. See if I know what I'm talking about. No, it's good. Some of them are like that and some of them aren't. I don't really care. This one's like that. This one's kind of like that. It's got a little wider. Oh, come on. That's not bad at all. Never mind. We're good. We're right in there with it. It almost covers it up perfectly. These are a little bit more blown out. This is a little bit more blown out too, but this one is kind of the picture I was looking at. And I could probably go back and put those swoopies in. Should I go back and put those swoopies in? Clean it up a little bit. But it almost looks more like those guys. Kind of like it better like this. I kind of like it like that. Maybe I'll pick at it a little more. I take a risk of taking one of those ears off. I've got to clean this up anyway. It's a little off center. It's driving me crazy. I can see it. And that'll change it some too. What's the blade profile look like on those? Pretty triangular? I think so. I think pretty triangular. Yeah, they're pretty triangular. They ain't got no recurve or curvature to them. Guys, I'm gonna say that's good. Like, we are pretty spot on. If anything, it needs a touch more flaking taken out of this side. But I'm really approaching the limits of what I can do here with this pressure flaker. One way I look at it, it looks like it needs it out of one side. The other way I look at it, it looks like it needs it out of the other side. So I think it doesn't need anything but to be left alone. Is it perfect? Nah. Is it pretty decent? And I made it pretty quick too. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty decent. It's got some little fingernail hinges all over it, which I'm just refining the edge right now. I'll just talk to y'all while I do that. It's got some little fingernail hinges all over it, which I don't care. It just doesn't bother me. I mean, I know it's not right and proper, and you know, the less hinges you have, the more it shows how good of a technique you have, blah blah blah. I just try not to have any big hinges. Like, I just don't want any giant, you know, 1/8 inch tall hinges in there at this point in my napping. We're pretty nonchalant over here on this napping channel. I think most nappers are, actually. I shouldn't say that. Like watch Jack Crafty. He doesn't care. He does, but he doesn't at the same time. That's how I aspire to be. I care, but I don't care. Does that make sense? Again, I've said it in other videos. It's not worth breaking a point over. To me. Like, yeah, I want to get that off, right? There's like a little, I don't know if it's shiny, like it has crystal in it, and I could blame it on crystal, but it's probably from me. Kind of makes the point a little thicker right there, but this side is like absolutely potato chip thin. Oh yeah, I'm gonna coin that term, potato chip thin. Sorry, I'm picking at some stuff that I said I didn't care about. God, I kind of want to get that off. I don't risk it though, not with those notches like that. I'm just not gonna do it. I know better. I know y'all probably want to see me do it. Oh, it'll make it perfectly clean. You could just pressure flake it. Snap. Then I take a big chunk out of the edge. All right, there she is in all her glory. Very thin, pretty nice. I got the point style pretty right. Since I can't stand it, I'm going to abrade it and try to take that off. If it breaks, y'all will never see it. Cut this part of the video out. So if you're watching this, oh, and you know what we're going to use to do it with? Oh, this is a 10 out of 10. One of the worst ideas I've ever had. I didn't hurt it any. I took some of it off. Alright, leaving it alone. She's whole still. Everybody can say I tried. It ran a flake in there. See that flake scar right there? That's from it. It cleaned it up a little. There still is something going on right there, but I'm gonna leave it. So there you go. Put my hand underneath it so y'all can tell what's going on. That is a Buck Creek out of Kentucky Hornstone. I think we did pretty good. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and thank y'all for watching.